long story short, I discovered Beachbody through late night infomercials. My husband was a couch potato and I enjoyed exercising. I've always gone to a gym. I really enjoyed the mental benefits more than anything else. I needed it to keep my sanity. And he was more lazy. So when he saw the P90X infomercial, he said he was going to do the program, and I was pumped because I'm just like, maybe he'll exercise and, you know, not die of a heart attack or not continue to grow his belly. And he, so what happened though, and what I learned as a coach is because he was interested and I got excited, I immediately went and I purchased the program for him. Now, I'm a deal freak. So I didn't just like go to the link. I went on eBay, I found the program, and I did what any good deal freak would do. I got it super cheap. But then he did what most people do when they have no skin in the game, and he did nothing. He never opened it, and that was the end of his health and fitness journey for several years. But since I paid for it, and at the time I was waiting tables at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, I remember I worked an extra shift just to buy it, and there was no way I was not going to do it because I had skin in the game. So that was my start of my journey. And then just kind of fast forwarding, our marriage was terrible, pretty much. My husband enjoyed partying way more than he enjoyed being married to me. That's how I'll put it nicely. So I was in a really bad place because as a kid, you know, I was kind of raised with a dad who was very demanding of excellence in my life. You know, it's like straight A's or nothing and that kind of thing. So but then I had my mom is like the most caring person, you know? So I kind of had these tug of wars inside of myself that I always had big dreams and hopes for my life. So getting to this place where now all of a sudden I'm in this terrible marriage, I'm hiding my pain because I'm not supposed to be in a terrible marriage. You know what I mean? Like that to me is I'm failing. I am not who I'm supposed to be in. And I was just in this really bad space. And that's when I discovered the Insanity Workout Program. Now, what I also didn't know at the time was that I needed to finish this program. Like I needed to just prove to myself that while all of this chaos in my life was going on over here, when everything was spinning out of control, which even I'm sure most of us can relate to in the past year, you know, we're totally out of control with what's going on. We can't fix it. And I was trying hard. I needed to finish this program to just prove to myself that I could at least do this. Now, has anyone done Insanity? Like the whole program, you know, month 2, where it goes to like 55 minutes of torture. Like this is not the program to pick to like be your deciding factor if you can do anything in life, because you can't do this program. It's terrible. So that's when I reached out to my coach. So I was assigned a coach because like I said, you guys, I'm super thrifty. I did not buy the program from Beachbody. I did not buy anything from her. But when the P90X came in the mail from my husband, in the top corner, it said, create a free account and you can chat live with Tony Horton. Now I'm a moron and I didn't even know what a chat room was because I wasn't technically savvy. I just thought, I'm like, Tony will talk to me? Like we're going to chat? I'm like, and so I created a free account. Little did I know it's like a video of, you know, broadcast to thousands of people. I'm like, well, this is stupid. And that was how I got assigned my coach. So once again, I'm like, what is a coach? Like, am I just join a softball team? Like I had no idea what was going on, but she would email me every now and then, which another point, are you emailing your customers? She would even just send bulk emails with like a recipe. I don't cook anything, but I'm like, this is nice. She's sending things. So when I finally had a question, I reached out to her and I said, and I knew no matter what, I was going to do what she said because I needed to finish this program. And I said, what do I do? I'm really tired. You know, I'm waiting tables, which was a really strenuous job. The Ruth's Chris I worked at was the busiest in the entire country. So the shifts were insane. And even I would have to walk up these huge steps. It was like out on this back dock, and that's where the servers would come through because we weren't allowed to come in the front door because it was that fancy. And I remember I would wear 2 knee braces, a knee brace on each leg, and I would have to walk up sideways because Insanity was killing me because I was doing it so wrong. And I was so tired. And my life, I don't know if you guys are ever like this, where you're so drained emotionally that you're like drained physically. So that was me. So I messaged her and I'm like, what do? I have to finish this program. And like I said, whatever she said I was going to do. And in my mind, and this was 11 years ago, I fully anticipated she was going to say, eat sprouts. Because back then, like if I thought of a healthy person, I'm like, I think they eat sprouts. I think sprouts are gross, but I guess I'm not to eat sprouts when she tells me to eat sprouts. She says, she's like, you know what, you need Shakeology. Now, immediately, ironically, I'm like, oh, this lady's a salesperson. Like I knew it. Like she's trying to make money off me. You know, she sucks. Like that was my first reaction. But then I knew I was going to do whatever she said. So I'm like, well, whatever. And then she told me about the bottom of the bag guarantee and how for 30 days you can drink it. And if it's empty and you don't like it, you can send it back for a full refund. And I'm like, I'm a deal freak. I've got 30 days left of this program. If this will get me through, done. I cleared off a space in my cabinet. I'm like, this is for my boxes or my return slip. Like I set a date, I made a note to make sure on this day I needed to return it, keep that empty bag. Like told my husband, do not accidentally throw away this bag ever. It's $100 something. And because she knew at this point I was thrifty, she's like, you know what, you should just go ahead and join as a coach because if you do keep it, it'll be cheaper. So of course I'm like, well, do you cancel the same way? Because that's all I care about. And she's like, yes. I'm like, okay, well then I'll do that because I'm canceling, but just in case. But of course, never, ever, ever thought 11 years later, I would have been doing this for this amount of time. It would have completely changed my entire life. I now literally have an 18-year-old child because I drank a shake that I didn't want to drink. Our entire lives have been transformed. That same husband has completed many programs. He ended up completely changing his life, which changed our marriage only because of my lead, 100%, I know that. And I've gone on in about, I think it was about 3.5 years, I hit the million, it was called Million Club then, which is $1 million in earnings. I also went on to help my husband's account hit the Million Club about 2 years after that. And of course, disclaimer, results are not guaranteed. It's a direct result of your effort, diligence, and skill, which was exciting to me. I'm like, I love the income disclaimer because if it's in direct relation to my effort, diligence, and skill, like I'm a control freak. And I'm not just saying Autumn, I'm just saying like, that's great because I can show up in a certain way and I can get rewarded for that. That became one of my most exciting, I was always looking for a job where I could do that. I didn't want to just get paid for time served. I wanted to get paid in proportion to my efforts. So like I said, I went on to build a crazy business. I've made Success Club every single month since I began 11 years ago. That was my number one mission when I started, because once I realized I had started a business. And just real quick, I'm like about 30 or 60 days in when I decided I was keeping my Shakeology, because what happened was about 2 weeks in, I started to feel good. I never, ever, ever imagined, because I thought I ate healthy, because back then I skipped cheese and mayonnaise. So I'm like, I'm healthy. Like that was literally healthy 10 years ago. Like you are a super health nut if you don't eat cheese or mayonnaise. Which is ironic because now I eat both cheese and mayonnaise. But what was cool was I started feeling good. So then I'm like, okay, maybe there was something I was missing in my diet. But then I started to be part of a team. And I'm like, wait, there's people encouraging me and supporting me. And I didn't have that. And then I was like, okay, I'm keeping this. I've got to figure out how this lady's earning money. So I dove into the policies and procedures, which if you don't know what that is, it's literally like an 80-page legal document that's linked in the very bottom of your Coach Online office. But that's really all we had back then. So I was like, let me learn about this company. And that's when I learned I was in network marketing, multi-level marketing. In case you don't know, I just broke it to you. But ironically, I didn't know. And if there was anything on my list of things I would want to never do in my life, it would be part of a network marketing company. So already in high school, I was valedictorian. I was voted most likely to succeed. And like I said, my whole life, my dad had kind of put this pressure on me. I was like the chosen child, apparently, to give his life significance. And I had already gone on to wait tables. So I already knew I was like this disappointment to my dad, because when he went to lunch with his business associates, he didn't have a daughter to brag on, because to him, being a waitress was like the low of lows. But wait, the low of lows would actually be a daughter that's a waitress that's part of a network marketing company. So immediately I knew like, this is actually terrible. But the facts were, in my life, this was making me feel good. In my body, I was feeling better. In my heart, in my spirit, like all of these positives were coming out of it. So I'm like, how can this be such a bad thing? And so that was literally how I started my business, was like, okay, I can't tell anybody I know that I'm doing this because they're going to just ridicule me. And I'm trying to get away from ridicule. But then on the same note, you know, it kind of drove me to be like, I've got to prove all of those people wrong, that this can be something super awesome and positive and powerful, like it had already been in just about 30 days in my life. So I'm literally every objection you might encounter in one story. So that was how I started. So I went on, you know, and some of you might have seen me. I had the complete honor of being in programs like Insanity Max 30. I'm in Sean Week, and I've also been in the Transform 20 weight workouts, which you have not done those are so good. And it's just wild because, like I said, I literally started in my little spare bedroom with like this old box TV and like a DVD VCR combo with Shanti. And I was at such a low and such a broken person, and I would cry in there in my workouts, and to just see the transformation that's come out of showing up and doing what is involved in this process that we get to do as coaches will forever blow my mind. And like I said, to my husband, the very first, just to give you a tiny bit of context, the very first Beachbody cruise, that was the very first trip that I earned, we were escorted off by the FBI because of my husband. And to now see that we actually got to the place where we had a baby, and like we are in this, like, you know, it's almost like the Beachbody mission, a healthy, fulfilling relationship, and getting to be a parent, which is something it wasn't like a dream of mine. It was something I would never have even considered, because I knew I had like a 38-year-old child, my husband. I'm like, I can't take care of him. Like I sure can't take care of anybody else. But it's really just a testament to what can come out of this. So I was curious before I went on. So those of you that are there, are you guys diamonds? Are you star diamonds? Or where are a lot of you in your journeys?
Most of them are star diamond and above.
Cool. Okay, good. So did you want to ask me another question, or do you want me to just get into a little bit more of the content I wanted to share?
No, go into the content.
Okay. Hopefully you guys don't think I'm too crazy. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit, because I really feel like now that I know, especially that you guys are mostly star diamonds and around that rank, because really I feel like 2 stars is for me when it really gets exciting, because like I said, I'm a control freak, and at 2 stars when you get to open that second business center. So that's when you really get to, once again, take control of your income and maximize the compensation plan, which I am a complete nerd at. That is definitely my specialty. I personally believe that I know how to make more money in this business than anybody else. I was the first person that was not a founder to have both me and my spouse in the Million Club, but that's one piece that I don't want you guys to miss, because 2-star, if you are not there yet, I would literally have tunnel vision to get there as fast as possible, because that's when you really get to start taking better advantage of the cycle bonuses and get them working in your favor. But what I also want to talk about, something that differentiates really, to me, anyone that's like achieving some level of success, and those that are able to move beyond that to the 6-figure, the 7-figure mark, comes down to time management. And really, I don't even want to just call it time management. I want to call it energy management, because the two are in the same. You know, I'm not just looking to like create free time so you can have balance. I'm talking about managing your energy to produce incredible results. I actually am not interested in balance. I feel like balance is something different for everyone. I remember I sat in a training once where they talked about like how you can take a bath. And I'm like, that sounds terrible to me. Like, I don't want to sit in my own dirty water, and, that I just get hot, then I like need to take a shower after. And I'm like, this is not something I'm striving for. But energy management and achieving incredible things in even less amount of time, yes, because then that frees up more time to achieve more amazing things, is how I feel. So I've got a couple of tips that I want to share. And like I said, if you have questions, definitely let me know. But first off, Eat That Frog. If you have not read the book, Eat That Frog, hopefully most of you guys have. I feel like it's a very common book, but I'm going to ruin the book for you right now, but you can still read it. The point of it is doing the most important thing first. Now, how many of you guys, are you guys to-do listers at all? I'm like, yeah, I'm the to-do list person. And so the old me, before I applied these concepts to my life, I would write to-do lists, and I would love including things that I could cross off. You know, I didn't know I was doing this intentionally, but when I go back, I'm like, okay, like half of these things I've wasted time. Like I'm doing this to save time, but I wasted time writing them down because I knew I was about to do them. I could cross it off and then I would get this feeling of a sense of accomplishment. Okay, but this is a waste of time. And the point is we're trying to be time efficient. So first off, there are also some things that you're writing on the list that you could actually do before you got done writing it on the list. So instead of saying, oh, I need to message so-and-so, why don't you just go message so-and-so? And then you can get back to your list. Another thing I would do, and this was, you know, like I said, when I started, it was more of a pen and paper age, which some of you might still be doing pen and paper. I would rewrite lists once it got too messy. So then I need to rewrite the list so it looks better. And then I can have, and you know, so once again, we're wasting time while we're doing something that's supposed to be helping us manage our time. So there's no more rewriting lists. There's no more writing things down that you could do in the time you write them down. And there's no more writing things down simply to cross them off your list. Right now, some of you, I literally just saved so much, but let's dig a little bit deeper. So if you're going to do the most important things first, because what I also recognized was that there was some things that were getting moved to the list every single time I rewrote the list. I was never crossing them off the list. And most of these things were actually the most important things, but because I couldn't do them quickly, that gave me kind of that high of crossing it off the list and feeling accomplished. I wasn't ever doing them at all. One of them would be emailing my customers. You know, if I'm like, okay, well, I kind of need like an hour window for that, so I'll just keep moving it until I find that hour. When actually, if I would be consistently emailing my customers, I would probably be making Success Club easier and everything would be working better. So that's eating that frog, determining what is the thing that's going to move your business forward the most and doing that thing first. So these are IPAs, income producing activities. So assignment number one would be to recognize what are the actual things that are going to move my business forward ASAP. So I did something else way back in the day. I analyzed my paycheck. So by then I had a couple business centers because I had my own, I had my husband's, I had a second CBC. And I went and I broke down about 5 weeks worth of paycheck. So I had at least a month overview. And I determined what is coming from retail commission, what is coming from the team. And I was back then, I was good at retail commission for what was good back then. You know, like say I had at least 1,000 volume every single week. Maybe 2,000 occasionally. Like that was really good, especially back then. And back then, I mean, if you made Success Club 5, you were a rock star. There weren't these people that did like 200 Success Club points. And just so you know, if you still are making Success Club 5 or 10, you're a rock star. You're doing it consistently. You don't need huge numbers to have huge success. I am definitely proof of that. But so what I recognized though was that about 5% of my paycheck was retail commission. And there wasn't much more I could do to grow that number. 95% even back then was coming from the team. So I recognized, whoa, I'm spending almost like 95% of my time trying to grow this 5% retail commission when I should be spending time over here growing this team, because the more that grows, that's going to make a way bigger impact in my paycheck. And that was my mission. So once again, when you're determining your income producing activities, you need to know what do you want your business to produce, and then make sure that you're choosing the right income producing activities to get there. So that was when I knew, okay, from now on, I'm literally like, I don't even care about retail commission. I care about strategizing everything towards growing my team, because that's going to make the biggest impact in my paycheck. But then also I wanted to evaluate, because pay wasn't my only priority. I also have learned that impacting people's lives on a grand level internally is one of my personal big drivers. So how did I learn this? Well, one time I found a way, you know, back in the day, people were paying for Instagram shout outs. You would go to a random page, you'd like pay them $250, and for 1 hour, they would do a post because they had so many followers, and it would just be a call to action, like help wanted, message me. And so I was like, I'm going to try it, because I'm always trying to grow and expand and try new things and see how they go, and then see if they're good enough to bring back to the team. So immediately, like that first, maybe the second time I did it, I think I signed up 10 coaches. Now at that time, pretty much 8 was my average, and that would take me all month of really diligent effort. So to do 10 in like half an hour, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be the next top coach. I don't even want to be, it's not even my goal. But then what happened 30 days later, I had like 10 cancellations because I had no relationship with these people. They had no idea what Beachbody even was. It was just a transactional experience. So in that moment, I realized, okay, wait, maybe income isn't my only goal. I actually want to play a part in impacting these people's lives and getting them the tools that I know can change the world, and getting them to like open up to me and us connect. And so that's when I also recognized, okay, while I always thought income was my thing, there's deeper levels. So when you're determining your income producing activities, make sure that you're taking into account everything you actually want out of this business. So now once you have them, which obviously we don't have time to do right now, but I would love if you guys took it home and did this because it will really change your business. Once you have them, you've got to eat that frog. You've got to make sure on your calendar, Brenda Burchard says, show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. If you don't have time spaced out to actually work on those income producing activities, they're not your priorities. So that has to be happening. Okay, so now that we've done that, okay, now, like I said though, because I just took away something from those of you that are to-do listers when I said you can't put down the thing that gives you that fix because you get to cross it off right away. If you are overwhelmed, have you ever had like so much to do that you want to do nothing? And you're like, okay, I have like 700 tasks, so I'm going to watch Netflix. So when you get in that moment, you are allowed to do a meaningless task because I want you to have a small win. I want you to get that confidence back. Like, okay, I can plow through this stuff. So like for me, the other day, I was overwhelmed with a whole bunch of stuff and I was like, I'm going to go clean out one drawer because it's got to the point where I like can't close my drawers. And so the laundry is like just going in a pile in my closet because I'm like, it's folded. And that's totally it's not how my brain works. Like chaos does not work for me. So I was like, you know what? I have so much to do, but instead of thinking I need to go through my closet, my drawers, my child's closet, and then I need to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and then I've got to figure out what's going to go in the trash and what's going to be donated. Should we have a garage sale? And so instead of just being like, now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, let's watch Netflix. I went and cleaned out one drawer. After just cleaning out one drawer, I was like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. And maybe I'll do a drawer tomorrow. Maybe I'll never even go back to it. I don't know, but I gave myself a small win so I could at least regain my mental clarity. So when you are feeling overwhelmed and stuck, which even when you leave this retreat, you might be like, oh my gosh, I just got 700 ideas. Just pick one, just do one. And then be like, go me, I did one, breathe, have a shake, get back to it. Okay, next. Okay, like I said, I want you to know yourself. How do you operate best? Because mental clarity is really necessary. So for example, like I said, I am an orderly person. My brain works best when things are orderly. So I know if I come into my office and my desk has 7 trillion things on it and I try to work, I'm not going to be my best. I should take 2 minutes and fix the desk so that I can then progress with my business. If Caden, he's my 18-month-old, if he comes out and throws his toys everywhere and then takes a nap, I can't just come in and pick up because I know I'm just going to, pick up my work. I need to pick up his toys first, but I'm teaching him to do it, so that won't be done much longer. So that I can work in my best mental space. Something else I want you to keep in mind is what time of day do you work best? And then you assign tasks accordingly. So in other words, sometimes my son is in the room with me, right? So I'm not going to be able to like do a live that's like training my heart out, or I'm not going to be able to do that coach email because for some reason that takes a lot of my brain power. Whatever, maybe I'm inviting and it's not like the initial invite I'm responding to invites, right? And they're sharing their heart with me and I need to be present with responding. I'm not going to do that task when he's in the room. Now, if I'm going through my challenge group and I'm just like encouraging everybody, I can do that with them sitting there. Or if I'm maybe making a graphic for my new Emerald, I can do that with him in the room. So I also make sure I'm prioritizing my tasks based on mental clarity necessary. Also, are you a morning or a night person? Me, I'm morning. So I know in morning, my brain works best. So I'm going to do as many tasks as possible in the morning in that window. If I save something that really requires intense focus for the evening, it's not going to be as good. Okay, let's see. I think I had a couple more things. Okay, so as far as having a child, if you have one, I would definitely not only manage so maybe you're like, wait, I don't even have a moment where I can have mental clarity. We have to make those moments. So for me, I get up at 5:07 because I'm a weirdo, but I get up at 5:07 a.m. and he doesn't wake up until 7:30. So I always know that I have that chunk without a baby because I currently don't have a babysitter. Although I'm starting to feel like I really want one. But I do have my husband who is very helpful. Now, the only issue is they're not as helpful with like going away. Like if my husband is yelling at my child sitting at my feet, I'm still not doing my best work. So I have to start setting more boundaries to make sure that I'm getting those things done. So like I said, I have that 5 to 7:30 window, a lot of nights now. So I used to really not work at night. as much because like I said, it's not my best time, but now I know, okay, if he's going to bed at 8:30, now I kind of have a 30-minute to an hour window where I make myself find some mental clarity to get some more stuff done. But then of course I'm working throughout the day too. And he still takes 2 naps, but that's why I'm like, when those 2 naps go away, it's time for a babysitter because this girl's got to get stuff done. So I think it's really important though to make sure you're setting those boundaries, because if not, you're just going to get more buried and feel less accomplished and probably just, not achieve the goals that you're capable of. Okay, so now I want to talk about something really quick before we wrap up, and that is working with, your coaches that really want something out of this business, and how I kind of go about mentoring them, especially in the beginning, because this isn't, I'm not doing anything that anyone cannot do. So first, sometimes you hear from coaches and you're like, oh, wow. I make sure that's never, hopefully, the response to me. And I do that on purpose, because whenever to me you hear something and you go, oh, wow, that means it's not duplicable. My number one mission is that things are duplicable and scalable. So whatever I'm doing, I want to make sure I can do it long term. And when I have a small team or when I have a humongous team, that the person that joins me feels they can do it too, and that they want to do it. Those are kind of my 3 priorities. So can I do it? Do they want to do it? Will they do it? So a lot of this happens earlier on, and even in the recruiting process or once they join in that getting started right call, when I'm setting the precedent, I want them to know, number one, this is their business. They now have all the tools that I have, that everyone else has. They now have control of their future and their dreams, but they have to show up and do the work for it. And the only way I'm going to know that they're showing up and doing the work is when they ask questions, because there's no way anybody does this without having questions. And now the resource, the way, there's a path also for the questions. So what does that mean? Path number 1, FAQ. If it is something that can be found in the FAQ, that's path number 1. Path number 2 is the team page. There's thousands of people in there. So odds are, at least in my team page, which maybe yours isn't, but still, your process. How quickly could they potentially get an answer inside of a team page? And then number 3 is me. So I make sure that they have this train of reference with me being at the end. Now that isn't because I don't want to help. And that isn't because I can't help them actually probably in 15 seconds of them asking. That's because I want to make sure they know when they sign up a coach, they aren't going to now sacrifice their lives for this person. They're setting the precedent of they still own their schedule and their freedom, but it's also giving them a sense of ownership in their own business. So there's multiple things that I'm doing this, and I only know this because I did this all wrong. I was the exact opposite. I was all things to all people, and I would pride myself. I thought actually being a good leader meant I will get back to you with the exact right answer within 35 seconds, day or night. I used to be in bed, like my husband is snoring and I'm like under the covers so like it won't wake him up and I'm answering him. When I was waiting tables, I'm like in the bathroom, like I've got to answer this person in 3.5 seconds. And then I went to a time management training and I realized I was enabling people to be crappy business owners. I was enabling them to not grow a business, to not be duplicable, to never help someone else. I was talking them out of having a business because now they thought they had to do what I was doing. And what did they'd be like, oh, wow, you're amazing. You're so fast. I don't want them to say I'm amazing. I want them to say, I can do what you're doing and I want to do what you're doing. So I had to pull back, even though that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be helpful and it made me feel good. And I was so proud I even knew the answer. And if I didn't know it, I would go find it. So it helped because I learned a lot, but it was not helping them. So I think it's really key to set this precedent. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. And then lastly, so I was trying to not be an enabler anymore, but lastly, follow their actions, not their words. The quicker that you can adopt this principle, you're going to save yourself heartache. You're going to save yourself disappointment. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, the talkers are not the walkers. The people that say more typically do less because the ones that are doing aren't having time to talk because they're doing. So, the more, then that's about managing your energy. That's about knowing that your business isn't going to fall on the shoulders of one person. I always loved when I heard somebody tell me like the people that got you here are not going to get you there. So like whoever got you to this place, because you're a star diamond, you at least have one diamond. Maybe it's you because you built your husband. Maybe it's one person. And guess what? That one person next week might drop rank and never get it back again. So do not rely, honestly, on anyone or anything, but your own personal commitment to your journey. That's the personal development every single day. I thought I didn't need personal development because I was like, I'm positive. I go to church. Like, I don't need to read some self-help book. I watch Oprah. But I was a nerd. And that's my last thing I want to leave you guys with. Be a nerd. I did what my coach told me to no matter what, even though I didn't agree with it, think it would work, thought she was lying to me, thought there was some other secret. I had all of these things going on, which were sucking my time over here because I'm like, I got to find out this thing. But I still did these things because I was a nerd. So she said, get enrolled, make Success Club. I'm like, okay. And she next month, she's like, do it again. Read your personal development, read your personal development. I'm like, okay. But those things actually ended up compounding over time into amazing things. So, you know, like I said, I'm not opposed to like trying new things and getting outside of your box or getting outside of your comfort zone, because I did a lot of things terrible that I completely failed at, but it also showed me how seriously I was taking my business. You know, I rented a hotel room one time and went and put flyers on people's cars, like random strangers in the Walmart parking lot. I don't know why I didn't at least pick Target. Like, come on, Jessica. And nobody came. And I'm an introvert, you guys. Like, I don't even want to see people. So for one, I was glad nobody came. But I was doing things to show myself that at least I was trying to build a business and I was willing to do things and fail terribly and get back up, because that was something else I really didn't want to do in life, was fail. Like I said, I was a perfectionist. Those are things I've really had to struggle with. But then I went, of course, once I learned, because I was a nerd, wait, like all successful people fail all the time. You know, like that one thing about like Oprah was fired from her job as a news reporter, or like Walt Disney was told no like 7 trillion times. Michael Jordan got cut from the basketball team. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm over here making sure I don't fail. And I'm like guaranteeing myself to be a loser. I need to go fail more. So when you start to make those mental shifts, I'm telling you guys, that's when it really gets exciting. One more thing, the Spanx creator, Sarah, is her name Sarah Blakely? I think it's Sarah Blakely. Her dad growing up, her dad every night at the dinner table, you know how, you know, maybe most parents are like, how did your day go? Like, what was your win? Her dad would say, what did you fail at today? And if she didn't have an answer, she like got in trouble. And I'm like, that is kind of awesome, because she got programmed to just fail. And now she's like one of the only female billionaires. I have no doubt that played a part. So that's what I'm going to encourage you guys. Be a nerd, fail, you know, burn the to-do list, or at least just make it virtual and stop rewriting it, and set your boundaries. But hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, I've got like maybe 3 more minutes before Kaden wakes up.
So what if you're in like, say you're going and you're doing your shit, but you feel like shit or something's going on, right? And we all have to still make our businesses go. Do you give yourself time, or like you just power through it, like, and make yourself?
So you're saying you have some, I can hardly hear you, but you're saying you have something like going on personally?
Like even like if you're like, say you hurt your back. Okay, just a sec. And then like you just feel like shit, but you still have to work your business, you know, like, do you give yourself time off? Do you just keep going? Like, you push through it? Like, or? Okay,
that's a great question. So of course, if you hurt your back, I mean, it would not work out. But as far as like powering through with your business, so I have a philosophy that I call fluff fast. So I 100% give myself time to get over whatever it is. You know, like you said, it could be an injury, it could be a death in your family. You know, I've been here for 11 years, so I've actually had the worst times in my life since I've been a coach. But I call it fluff fast because I want to make sure I give myself time, but I also know I'm a leader. Like, and I treat this job like any other job. And I think waiting tables for years really helped, and having a really crappy marriage while I was doing it, because like we could have like the worst night of our lives and I still had to go to work and show up and smile and like somehow do my job. So I do treat Beachbody in the same way, but I also know, to me, this business takes a lot of mental energy and heart if you're doing it right. You know, like if you're caring about people, that does take a little bit more than like, do you want sweet tea or unsweet? So I call it fluff fast. So I would encourage you to have like a system of things, like a list of things that, you know, refill your cup, recharge your batteries, like whatever it is, whether it's a walk, prayer, a special workout, your favorite show, phoning that friend. Like, I literally know I have a list, putting on my favorite song that I know immediately changes my energy. So, I mean, crying, I love crying. And I'm like the kind, if I'm angry even, like I gotta cry because like these emotions have to get out. Like I'm the weird one that's like, if I'm crying, it's because I actually want to kill you. So, but I know I have a list. And so I'm like, I'm going to work my way through that list to hopefully get myself back as fast as possible. So I definitely give myself a minute, but like, I know that what I've found in doing that too, is it helps me through my issues quicker. Like I like knowing, guess what? I got, like, if y'all know how many team calls, literally I was crying my eyes out like minutes before. And then I'm like, oh, I'm ready, dare to dream. And I don't feel like I'm being fake, but it more held me to a standard of accountability to my journey. So in a way, I'm kind of thankful because like I said, I had terrible, the day I got to Insanity Max 30 to film it, the very first day, my husband, I didn't hear from him for like 3 days because he went to jail. So that was already my moment where I'm like, I'm supposed to go out here and like audition and be like, oh, pick her, where I'm like, I don't even know where my husband is. And I'm in New York City by myself. I accidentally ended up booking myself at a gay hotel. I'm like this girl coming in bouncing like I'm alone, and they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm thrifty, it was on Priceline. But I think those things really helped me learn like, okay, you can show up, and maybe you're showing up like, hey guys, man, and I do this in my challenge group all the time. Guess what, you guys, I'm having a terrible day today. Can y'all encourage me? Like I just need y'all, I mean, y'all showing up is helping me. Can somebody just tell me I got this? You know, I don't necessarily have to say all the details, you know, because sometimes details aren't important, or you don't want to share them, but that also makes you human. So I'm not saying just show up and, you know, be fake, but finding your way through it faster is never a bad thing. Does that answer your question?
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for your time. Took lots of notes, so I appreciate it. You're so gracious for just hopping on. So I was a guest speaker on her call, and I didn't know it was her call. And she's like, "Wow!" I'm like, "Holy shit, I have to step it fucking up."
So funny, so funny. Well, thank you, and you guys have a blast. I'm jealous. I'm like, next time I should be there live in person. Jeez.
You're welcome anytime. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.